Good morning, my friends. Today, it's a very snowy day. Big snowstorm going on. It's nice to see because it's that kind of like very pristine white. It's just kind of warm enough to where it's like the snow is kind of sticking to everything. So you see all the trees are like sort of covered in like a blanket of snow, which is pretty. It's a pretty sight to see, which I enjoy looking at. Um, so I have work today. I'm working tonight and tomorrow. I'm switching a shift with a friend of mine, and I've been having difficulty coming up with topics because it's like there's only so much you can talk about the same sort of generic topics over and over again. I'm going to be talking about fear, the concept of fear as its importance to us versus how it hinders us. And I think fear is one of those things that's you know I think misunderstood in a lot of regards. And in terms of what fear can do to us, I think it's definitely one of the biggest inhibitors of our best selves in terms of being able to become as virtuous, or whatever word you want to call it, in terms of ourselves. And there's a lot of fear in the world, especially right now, and it's fear for very different reasons. We have this very strong duality of sides and perspectives, especially in the United States, and it's all really based around fear. It's fear of change, it's fear of something different than ourselves. And I think that comes from a long line of history of being constantly persecuted and abused, if you want to say, by these big structures. And that fear definitely carries out throughout generations, I feel. And there's a lot of fear going around, and that's causing people to act on a lot of whims. If you look at that one of the Star Wars movies, I think it was like the third one, and like the new Star Wars movies are pretty terrible, but not the new ones. I'm talking like the episodes 1, 2, and 3, the ones that were still by George Lucas. I haven't even seen the newer ones because I just don't really have an interest in them anymore. But with those ones specifically, there's a part where Yoda is like talking about fear, and he says fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, all that stuff, which is probably the only part of that entire series which is actually profound in any way. Everything else is kind of just bullshit. But if we were looking at it from that perspective, and how important that is as a concept, I think people need to realize that when people are sort of dominated by fear, it sort of leads into this sense of anger and hatred, and sort of you want to close yourself off from other people that might be different than you. And I think as fear grows, we sort of become more and more afraid of a wider spectrum of people. And this comes through in different things, whether it's political ideals, religious ideals, and right now it's a lot of zodiac ideals. Like people hate anything. I'll just say like, Aquarius are the worst people to be in a relationship with. Avoid Aquarius like the plague. And you have people who are just so rooted in the concept of astrology that they just start being afraid of people based off their astrological sign. Or you have people who, I brought this up, people are afraid of negative vibes, right? They're afraid of negativity. They might say it's not afraid, they're just trying to actively avoid it, or trying to pursue positivity, which is, I don't think it's exactly a good thing for you to do, to be afraid of these things, to be afraid. And I think people sort of mask that fear with a sense of authority, or a sense of that they're not afraid, they're just actively avoiding them. And I think it's all part of like the same thing. You're still afraid of them, even though you're sort of trying to mask that with a sense of arrogance almost, right? That's the part where fear leads to anger, you sort of become angry about these things that you're afraid of, and you try to fight back at them. And I think that's not the proper way to go about things. Is not to get angry at other things happening. For me, I find whenever there's something that's sort of bothering me, whether it's a person or an event, I have to sort of look at it and not be angry, not hate it, because that's all directed from fear. It's all based around this concept of fear. I'm afraid of this thing. And I think something that's more related to me as a Jewish person, right? There's this whole neo-Nazi thing going on that people are very scared about, right? And that's leading to a lot of hatred, a lot of anger towards other people that might associate indirectly or directly with these kinds of neo-Nazi figures. And it's leading to a lot of anger that people have towards these people. And I don't like to ascribe to those values. I don't like to hate people based off of things. Even if they hate me, they're afraid of me. I don't want to be afraid of them. Why would that sort of solve anything, right? You're just taking something that's already happening and literally doubling it in size, right? Someone hates you, you hate them back. You're taking an event and making it twice as big. And I think that's like a series of things that's happening in the world. People hate someone else, then they'll hate someone else, and it just creates this feedback loop of just, hatred, which is something I don't ascribe to. I could have easily been when I was younger, maybe 16, 17. I was like, oh, I hate neo-Nazis. I hate Hitler. I hate Stalin. I hate, Nazism, whatever. As I've grown older, it's sort of, it doesn't help me to be that way. I don't feel like I'm solving anything by thinking that way. And I'm definitely not going to fix anything by thinking that way. And I'm definitely not going to make that person who might be hateful towards me stop hating me. In fact, I'm just going to make them hate me even more by myself hating them, right? So that's sort of the aspect that I have a lot of problems with when people start hating things so easily when it's based off of fear. And, they use the excuse that it's justified. And yeah, it is justified in that sense. But you need to let go of that in a way. It's very difficult, obviously. And I have difficulty with it every day. There's so many people that just drive me nuts. And when I'm at work, there's customers who piss me off. And, I judge people based off of how they dress, how they look, because it's like I know they're going to be fucking annoying to me when they're asking stupid questions about the menu. And that's rooted in a sense of fear. And fear of having to actually engage with these people, actually having to work and do my job, right? It's all based around that concept of fear. And when I realize that, I kind of just have to take a step back and not let it affect me so much. But, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then, in the moment, it's obviously affecting me. And then I think the more important thing is to sort of go out afterwards and sort of relax and not let it get to you, because obviously I could easily get out of work and stay pissed off and go to bed pissed off and still feel justified in feeling that way, or I can be pissed off in the moment, let it happen, it's happening to me, and then after I leave, just kind of let it go and not think about it so much, not carry a grudge about people being annoying at work, people asking to use the bathroom when I'm about to close, and then spending an hour there and smoking a bunch of cigarettes. That pisses me off. And it's based around a fear of, oh, I'm not going to be able to go home. Oh, I'm not, I didn't clean the bathrooms properly because it smells like shit down there now, and I'm going to get fired, whatever. It's all based around fear. So, it's good to just kind of let it go and not really think about it, because you'll end up feeling better anyway. And you're not going to escalate the situation and make yourself worse off in the first place. So anyway, that's all I have to really say, and I hope you have a wonderful day.